We thought we'd struck gold. A 3-bedroom Victorian, at a price that seemed impossible. The realtor chalked it up to needing some love, but the bones looked solid, and we were tired of renting. The first night, we toasted with cheap champagne on the dusty floor of the living room. But when I woke up, something was wrong. I stumbled out of bed in the dark, groping for the bathroom. The hallway was too long. The door to the bedroom wasn't where it had been last night. It was shifted left, like the walls had quietly shuffled while we slept. I laughed it off as sleep haze, but in the morning, my wife looked pale. "The kitchen's not in the same place," she whispered. She was right. Instead of being beside the dining room, it was now tucked behind what used to be a coat closet. The sink was under a window that hadn't been there yesterday. But it gets crazier. Day by day, the house continued to warp. Doors would vanish overnight. Staircases that once led to the second floor now dropped us into the basement. Sometimes a room split into 2 smaller copies of itself. Mirrors of each other, same rug, same furniture, but the light fixtures hung at different heights. We started leaving notes on the walls. Kitchen here, August 12. Bedroom door, August 13. But each morning the handwriting was smeared or half gone, like the house didn't want us keeping track. One night, I dreamed of walls breathing in and out, shifting like ribs. I woke up to find the hallway stretching longer than before, the ceiling pulsing with faint creaks. By then, we were afraid to sleep. We tried the front door. It opened. Not outside, but into another version of our own living room. Same couch, same half-unpacked boxes, but the windows there were bricked over. We ran to the back door, only to step into a second kitchen, identical except for the stove, which was missing. The house was folding in on itself, cutting away our exits. We stopped arguing, stopped pretending it was stress. We just tried to map it out, sketching frantic floor plans. But the paper betrayed us too. Our drawings would shift when we looked away, lines bending, doors sliding across the page like living things. Then came the night. The bedroom disappeared entirely. We woke on the floor, our mattress gone, surrounded by 4 blank walls with no door. The ceiling trembled above us, like something heavy was pressing down. When we finally scraped a hole through the drywall, we broke through, not into another room, but into a perfect replica of the same space we were already in. Our voices started echoing oddly after that, not bouncing off walls, but overlapping, like the house was repeating us a half-second late. Now there are fewer rooms left each day. This morning, the house gave us only one, a windowless square of pale wallpaper, our things neatly stacked in the corner, as if waiting to be packed away. The air smells faintly of plaster dust, and something sweet, like wet wood rotting from the inside. There are no doors left, no seams, no escape. I can feel the walls inching closer when I breathe, and I know what comes next. When we moved into our new home, I expected the usual unpacking boxes, meeting neighbors, maybe the occasional awkward conversation over the fence. What I didn't expect was the wicker basket waiting on our porch. It was neat, tied with a red ribbon. The tag read, "Welcome new neighbors." Inside were cookies, a bottle of wine, and a Polaroid photo. The photo stopped me cold. It was us, my wife, our 2 kids and me, fast asleep in our beds, in this house. Last night, I laughed nervously and told myself it was some weird prank. My wife wanted to call the cops immediately, but I convinced her it was probably some neighbor's twisted idea of a joke. We shoved the basket in the garage and tried to forget it. The next morning there was another basket, same ribbon, different contents. This one had muffins, a small jar of jam, and a Polaroid of us eating breakfast. I stared at it for a long time. My daughter was caught mid-laugh, syrup dripping down her chin. My son was chewing toast. My wife was sipping coffee, her hair still messy from sleep. And me, I was looking directly at the camera. I didn't remember anyone taking that picture. That night, I set up cameras, every angle of the porch, backyard, even the hallway inside. I went to bed with one eye open, convinced I'd finally catch whoever was doing this. But in the morning, the cameras told me nothing, just static from 2 a.m. until 5 a.m., and then a new basket waiting neatly on the porch. This one had brownies and Polaroids of me in the shower, my wife brushing her hair, my kids playing in their rooms. By then, we called the police. 2 officers came out, took statements, walked the property. They were polite, but I could tell they thought we were overreacting. Still, they promised to drive by a few times that night. It didn't matter, because the next morning, there wasn't just a basket on our porch. There was one on each of the officers' squad cars, parked in our driveway. Inside were photos of the cops sleeping in their own homes. That's when their tone changed. They questioned the neighbors, but every single one just smiled and waved politely, as if they didn't hear the questions. Not one of them answered. The baskets kept coming, every day, every night. It didn't matter what locks we changed or what lights we left on. We even stayed up all night once, watching the porch through the window. We blinked, and suddenly, it was there, as if it had always been there. The last basket arrived this morning. No food this time, just photos. Hundreds of them. All of us. Sleeping, eating, laughing, showering, crying, holding each other, living. Every moment of our lives since we moved here. Documented in glossy Polaroid squares. And at the very bottom of the basket, one final photo. The 4 of us, lying in bed. But this time, we weren't sleeping. We weren't moving at all. And someone else was standing in the doorway, holding the camera. I've never felt prouder than the day I held the deed in my hand. My first house, a small Gothic revival, weathered but standing proud on the corner of a quiet street. I bought it at a foreclosure auction, signed the papers, and stepped through the door like I had finally arrived somewhere I belonged. For the first week, everything was normal. Dusty boxes, the smell of old wood, the creak of floors that hadn't felt footsteps in years. But while prying up a loose board in the study, I found something tucked beneath. Another deed. Same property, same house, same name. Mine, but written in a jagged scrawl that looked eerily like my own handwriting. The date was older by almost 30 years. I laughed at first, assuming it was some kind of joke from a previous owner. Except my name wasn't common, and seeing it there, written so familiarly, made my stomach twist. I shoved it into a drawer and tried not to think about it. That was mistake number 1. The changes began small. A chair in the corner of the parlor, dark leather, worn, exactly the kind I'd considered buying but never did. I thought maybe I'd forgotten moving it in. But the next day there was more. A jacket in the closet, my size, my style, but not mine. Books on the shelves that I'd already read, filled with my own margin notes. And then the photographs. They appeared on the mantelpiece. Me, smiling at a birthday I didn't remember, standing in front of a car I'd never owned, arm around a woman I'd never met, but it was me. Same face, same smile. Every morning I woke up to new things that felt stolen from my life, except they weren't stolen. They were added, someone else's version of me bleeding into my house. I started sleeping with the lights on. The final straw came last night. It had rained, leaving the yard soft and muddy. When I got home, I saw the tracks, shoe prints leading to the side door, my shoe size, my tread pattern. Inside, the prints continued, dark streaks across the old wood, down the narrow hallway and toward the basement. My heart hammered as I followed. At the top of the stairs, I froze. From below came the sound of movement, slow, deliberate. Someone breathing, someone dragging something across the floor. I gripped the railing so hard, my knuckles went white. I wanted to run, but I couldn't leave. This was my house, my name on the deed, mine. But when I reached for the basement light, the switch was already warm, like someone had just flipped it off. I took the first step down. The creak echoed into the dark. Another step, another. Halfway down, I heard it. My voice, whispering, "You finally came back." couldn't see the bottom, just shadows shifting, stretching, and then footsteps started climbing up toward me. Thanks for listening. Now close your eyes and sleep.